welcome back to Nadya's Identity Files. Now I have both of my wonderful guests with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love having you all together. We can stare out, the three of us, at the sites of the construction and chaos and mayhem. And right before we came on, I was presented with this award. It is, yay, the WCOBM TV Host Award. I'm super excited. So I'm just going to set this here because
that's awesome.
It's just going to be my ego right now. Just bust it out. But hopefully it's not too distracting. So
just zoom in on that.
Right,
Forget
and
about
then
us.
like, yeah, our voices will be in the background. It's like just on the award. That would be so funny. So I want to talk more about identity and the dating space, and maybe even give some of our audience watching some tips and tricks about what they can do to enhance their dating life. I know for most people, I mean, sure, seeing a matchmaker would be the ideal, but not everyone has
That's what I would
ability.
say.
Might not everyone, fit the specs of a perfect 12 in your, company's case. So it's like, what can we do to suggest that how people can enhance their dating life on profiles like Tinder or OKC or Bumble, or should they just, would you say, stay away from that altogether?
Well, I think if you don't have the opportunity to hire a matchmaker, then your next best thing would be probably an online dating service, but I would make sure it's a reputable one. I feel that Tinder and Bumble is very much only based on the swiping left and right, just based on your exterior and your looks. So that's very superficial. I think that maybe a Match.com or Harmony.com would be a better option, because you really can get into your personality with the profile. And I think to be honest about who you are and not exaggerate and not lie, because once you meet that person, they will find out and never see you on a second date. So that's a waste of both of your times. So I think be honest, have realistic looking pictures, not extremely retouched, so that you look like you when they meet you.
Right. Absolutely. What do you think?
I agree with all of that. I also think, it's not a bad idea to ask friends to set you up. At least, they know the person, and, that's a little safer. I also think that in the dating world, and now with all these online dating apps, I think people should try to hold restraint. People jump in, I'm in love with him, and he loves me, and we're texting back and forth, and it moves so quickly. And I think, that's just a recipe for disaster, I think.
Yes, be really careful. Do your due diligence. Okay, if you can't hire an outside service, such as we do, a private service to do background checks, go on Intellius. It's $5 or even less, and you can, do your little background check before you meet that person. That match in person. And yes, friends is a great idea, meeting people through your friends.
Another thing that I like to suggest is people to go on websites like meetup.com, because there are a lot of communities and groups specific to certain interests, whether your interest is literature or entrepreneurship or tech, and that way it's much more organic. You're going there with more of the intention of building relationships and friendships. Yeah. And then out of that, it's quite possible that a relationship may manifest, it may not. But, the more you put yourself out there with people who are like-minded, where there could be synergy, I think that that could be helpful in that.
That's true. And also during the holidays, there's so many opportunities to meet people at holiday parties. So really, do get out there. Don't just sit at home waiting for someone to knock on your door.
Right. Yeah. I do think people have a lot of unrealistic expectations, but how much of that do you think is to blame on shows like the ones you've worked on?
I think there is a little bit to blame on that, but I also think it's the dating apps. I think it's just how modern day today. It's so easy to go on a Tinder and just be like, if someone's bored, swiping, I'm interested, and then they just disappear, like the whole ghosting thing. It's sort of become a game now. It's not, there's no chivalry anymore.
Well, because it's girls just make it a little bit too easy for the guys. So the girls are at fault, I'm sorry. I'm pro girls. So I would suggest, if I can advise you girls, just don't make it too easy. Let them work for it, you know? And
Right.
the more a guy has to work on it, the more he'll be invested in you. If you make it too easy, then what's exciting about that? You know, and that brings me also to sexting. Don't sext right away. You know, don't send your nude pictures to him right away. Yes, guys will be quick with that, but you don't have to reply with your own nude text.
Right. I mean, guys are going to try.
Yes.
Regardless. But I mean, at the same time, you know, I personally believe that we as women have the ability and the right to be sexually free, but I think that does come with an awareness that if you, by doing that, because of the time that we're still in, men are going to respond naturally by,
Yes.
you know, with quite often with disrespect.
Judge you,
and
yes.
not wanting to grow out into a more substantive relationship. So I
Right.
think that that's good advice.
Well, I mean, the women are in control of how fast a relationship goes. It's not the guy that's in control. And if he leaves, then he wasn't the right one to begin with. The woman sets the pace in any relationship.
Right.
So that's important to remember.
Right. And then, of course, to my LGBTQI brothers and sisters, I'm bi, so I have used gay dating apps. I've used, you know, heteronormative dating apps. And I just think, you know, again, it's about just being natural, being yourself. If you're going to use these things, have the awareness of the culture that is overarching these apps, and that it is like, you know, that swipe right, swipe left type of thing. And there are websites, you know, for LGBTQI persons similar to the eMatch and the Match.com and the eHarmony, all that stuff. There's so many now. I'm like, POF. I'm like,
You know, another,
There's so many.
yeah.
you know, another thing I think men and women should also do is I think they need to give people a chance. People are so quick to say, "Oh, he sneezed. I'm not interested in him anymore."
Wow, really?
You know,
You've
I
heard
mean,
this?
it's, well, maybe not a sneeze, but it's
Not
like,
your-
you know, it's like people just, they give up too quickly. And I
Yeah.
think you need to take time and get to know someone 1st.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely.
And I think, you know, with your service, there's a certain deliberate nature to what you do. You know, you take the time, obviously, to speak with each side, you know, and because you're involved, it's much more organic, and it's not like, doesn't have that rush. People know going into it that's going to take time, and they are understanding of that. Do you find that to be the case?
Yes, and I also, you know, the clients will come to me and ask me for advice, and because I hear from both ends, I'm able to give them advice and guide them better. Whereas with online dating, you don't know what's really going on. You know,
Right.
you're kind of left in the dark, like the ghosting thing, and you're
Yeah.
like, what happened?
The ghosting thing is such a bizarre phenomenon, but I think to some extent is to blame on, you know, our very technologically advanced
Yeah.
society, which as a result has kind of like diminished our ethics and our etiquette with one another, not just in the context of dating, but in really every facet imaginable. So, I mean, obviously you both have worked in the realms of dating. You still act very proactively, very involved with your own company. How has this impacted your own personal dating lives?
You first.
Great. Well, being single, I mean, it's definitely it's changed how I view dating, because I hear all of, you know, the dirty dark secrets that men and women have. I mean, they spill it all to me, so I hear what's really going on. It's jaded me a bit, which I'm not, you know, proud of. But it has definitely jaded me, because I'm definitely more on my toes and more aware, and I feel like I can see through things. And, you know, also I am a big believer, if a guy disappears, he disappears. You know,
Right.
it might not be something that I did. It's, you know, you can't, women tend to say, "Oh, what happened, what happened?"
Yeah.
You just don't know, you know?
Really don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm seeing someone, and I have been
Oh,
for some
congrats.
time, and I'm not out there in the dating world except for my clients.
Right.
But yes, it can jade you quite a bit when you hear some of the feedback you hear from clients, where it's just like, what are you thinking? You know, I mean, this is just so unrealistic. People are just impatient nowadays. They want that quick, instant satisfaction, and that's why a lot of people stay alone. You know, you really have to be patient, as with a career. You know, things don't happen from one day to the other. You really have to
Right.
work on it, and relationship take work.
Yeah.
So that people have to remember that.
Yep, life is not a fairy tale, people. you gotta, you know, put yourself out there, be self-aware, and take your time with yourself and your own self-love. That way you can be ready to give to another person, and you have to be patient with that person as well. So really good segment. I thank you both so
Thank you.
much. Was there
Thank
anything
you.
else that you wanted to add before we close today's segment?
No, happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays, and we will see you next week.